So, you're in Las Vegas. Why not visit one of the natural wonders of the world whilst you're there? But how hard or how easy is it to get to the Grand Canyon?
Can you drive or should you take a tour? And what else is there to see and do along the way?
In this episode, we'll give you our top tips on all this and more.
Welcome to Quokkas on Tour.
Tip 1, don't try to do it all in one day.
We previously made the mistake of driving from Las Vegas to the Grand Canyon South Rim and back in one day. It took us 12 hours, and whilst we saw a couple of things, it really was exhausting.
So it's a 280-mile trip, which means it's going to take you 4.5 hours if you drove non-stop. And you're going to need to take at least one stop, whether it's for fuel or a rest stop, food and those type of things. So if you're really pressed for time, it might be a good idea to organise a tour. Maybe get on a bus tour or go with somebody the likes of Pink Adventure Tours. Or perhaps if you really want to do that road trip, maybe go to the closer option, which is the West Rim.
But take it from us, the Grand Canyon South Rim is the one you know from the movies, and it's breathtaking.
There's also so much to see and so much to do along the way. For our Aussie drivers, or for anyone really, the roads are long, they're wide, there's not too many bends. And about the only really issue that you have is the Arizona section with a few potholes along the way.
It helps to have 2 or more drivers sharing the driving, as driving on the opposite side of the road is very tiring.
So there's no shortage of fuel stations or service centres along the way where you can get your fuel and food and drinks, and some of them are some pretty decent options. And there's quite a few interesting places to see.
Hoover Dam, which is about a 45-minute drive from Las Vegas. It's an engineering marvel built in the 1930s. There's a power station tour available, and it's actually a really good half-day tour from Las Vegas if it's something that you're wanting to do as a separate thing.
You get some fantastic views of the Hoover Dam as you're driving in. If you take the Boulder exit and you take the scenic route in there, it's some really good views.
So there's Seligman, which is on the old Route 66, and it's actually the town that they took as inspiration for the Disney movie Cars, and they've really embraced that, and it's a really fun spot to visit.
Yeah, I enjoyed that. There's a nice little museum there, which I found pretty cool, like all eclectic stuff.
Yeah.
The next town along the way is Williams, and it's at Williams where you can catch the train to the Grand Canyon, park up your car and take the scenic railway. It's also a reasonable sized historic town, so you can get other supplies there as well along the way. It's also the closest town to Bearizona, which is a drive-through from the safety of your car zoo where you can see exhibits of, funnily enough, bears. Also wolves. They've also got foxes, they've got birds, bighorn sheep, bison, amongst other things. It's a pretty cool exhibit. We found that it was pretty good.
Yeah, we really enjoyed that.
It's a good stop along the way. Allow probably about maybe 2 hours for that stop.
Yes.
There's food and drink there as well. Also a good little craft beer stop in there as well.
So the last town before we get to the Grand Canyon South Rim is Tusayan. And this is the last place you can go and get some supplies. And I also have an IMAX theatre with some pretty cool at Grand Canyon movies.
And the steakhouse and any of the fast food type locations that you want to get to. That brings us to our next tip, number 2, when to go.
So the Grand Canyon can get quite warm in the summer and pretty cold in the winter. So the best time to go is either in spring, which is March, April, or in autumn, or as they call it in the US, fall, which is in your September, October months, which also can be slightly less busy.
The Grand Canyon National Park can get really busy. Depending on when you go during the day, you could expect to have some quite long lines at the entrance. If you time it wrong, you can expect to have the likes of all of the travelers that are making their own road trips, or you can potentially even get the buses that are making their way to the Grand Canyon National Park as well. So it's either best to get there before 10 a.m. or after 3 p.m. We found that one of our trips there, we got there close to lunchtime, and the line, we waited at least 30 minutes before we even got into the park. On our most recent trip, we found that we got there at around about 3 p.m. and we just went straight through. Which brings us to our tip number 3, sunrise, sunset. We highly recommend making sure that you take in a sunrise or a sunset or both. You definitely won't regret it. They're stunning.
So now you need to choose your sunset position. There are many amazing spots to choose from, including Yavapai Point, Hopi Point, and Yaki Point. Whichever you choose, make sure you get there early and claim your spot.
Places like Mather Point get really busy. They're really close proximity to the village and all the accommodation, so a lot of people are able to just walk from their accommodation just outside, and they're in a fantastic spot. So if you really want to avoid the crowds, avoid Mather Point and go to another location. There's plenty of them that are available. You'll get a good spot.
So bring some layers of clothes with you, because it does get quite cool very quickly after the sun sets.
And make sure you don't disappear straight after the sunset. The colours change totally, and you really want to get those shots in, get your cameras out and be ready for it.
If you would like a quiet place to view sunrise, then leave early and drive about 30 minutes down the Desert View Drive, where you'll find Grandview Point. And there you'll be virtually alone to watch the sunrise in all its glory.
It's pretty much the furthest point away from the Grand Canyon Visitor Centre, where you pretty much head out of the park. It's pretty cool on its own. Tip number 4, go for a hike. The Grand Canyon is on average 4,000 feet or 1,200 metres in the metric, as far as depth goes, all the way from the top to the bottom. So certainly don't expect that you can do it all in one day, as in going all the way down and all the way back again. Now, we're certainly not experienced hikers. We don't really hike a lot, and we certainly had to make sure that we knew of our own limitations so that we didn't go too far.
So you descend into the canyon on your way in. That's the easy part. When you come back, you have to ascend, which is really hard work, and it's something that you need to be aware of, and just be making sure you don't go too far and then not be able to come back.
Okay, we're halfway down.
Well, no, halfway down the pit that we're doing.
Yeah.
Which isn't halfway.
We made it this far. See what happens on the way back. It's okay, come through. So we're just taking a rest stop.
Drinking lots of water.
Getting ready for the next bit. I don't think we've got far to go on this descent, but when we go up, it's going to be difficult. Let's take in some.
That's where we started, up there.
Hang on, let me just take it off there. Where did we start?
Up there.
Right up there. We've dropped massively.
And yet there's still so far to go to the bottom. That's why going to the bottom is very hard work.
Okay.
So wear layers of clothing. The temperature does actually change as you go into the canyon, and you also get quite warm with all the exertion. Make sure that you get some decent shoes. They need to have a bit of grip and a bit of support, and invest in some hiking poles. They actually are really handy on the way out to help you.
Yeah, I mean, we went to Walmart and we bought some cheap ones.
Yeah.
With the hikes, there's some that are really good, and depending on what your level of experience or fitness is, as far as which ones are going to be suitable for you. The Kaibab Trail is a good one. It goes right down to the base of the canyon. It also has the mule tours that you might come across at various times. But it goes down to the quite popular Ooh-Ah Point, and it has some fantastic views right down to the base of the canyon. We really recommend that one. That one was really good. The more popular one is the Bright Angel Trail, which is really accessible from the Grand Canyon Village. So you'll find a lot more traffic on that one, as you can just walk out of your accommodation and go straight to the Bright Angel Trail, as opposed to Kaibab, which you're going to have to catch a bus to, or maybe even drive to. So you need to find one which is going to be suitable for you. But if you're not feeling that adventurous and you're really not a hiking person and you haven't got any hiking poles, you can even do what's called the Rim Trail, and that's mostly a paved path, so kind of like, you know, bitumen or concrete, and it's not a hike as such. It's more of just a walk. I mean, you can even hire bikes and go around it, but it's one of those ones that's not really known about so much. You can catch the bus all the way down to the Hermit's Rest. That's a good recommendation there. And then do a hike back from there. It's mostly paved. There are a couple of sections which aren't paved so much, but there's some fantastic views, and you'll get a lot of space to yourselves and get some fantastic photos along the way.
Yeah, there's not a lot of people that do that. When you're hiking back from Hermit's Rest, be aware that the bus does only stop in certain places, so you'll have to plan that a bit.
Tip 5. Use the free bus service. The car parks around the Grand Canyon National Park can get extremely busy, so take advantage of the free shuttle bus service that's provided for you, especially to get out to all of the viewpoints. The viewpoints around the Grand Canyon Village can get extremely crowded, with everyone trying to get their own photos in. So rather than battle the crowds, get on a bus, go out to one of the other viewpoints or many of the other viewpoints and find your own awesome spot. There's really no limit.
Hermit's Rest has quite a lot of good spots along the way, so stop, have a look. You can see all the way down to the Colorado River on some of those places.
And here's a bonus tip. The cell phone service or the mobile service at the Grand Canyon National Park is really not great. It's certainly not extensive. There is Wi-Fi at most of the resorts there, but it's not overly covered in all of the rooms. The lobbies tend to get crowded with people trying to use the free Wi-Fi. So in this case, you're going to need to do a little bit of planning. Use some of the old-fashioned printed maps which are available. Download your maps on so that you have them offline on your phone. Just a little bit of preparation.
Good idea. The most important thing we want you to remember is that the Grand Canyon National Park is worth your time to visit. It's an amazing sight to behold and a memorable experience. So do yourself a favour and go. Thanks for watching.
And if you're liking our videos and you're looking forward to the next one, make sure that you hit that like and subscribe button, and we'll see you all next time.
Bye.
welcome back to Fun with Flags.
Dickhead.
I've been waiting for that one.
So for sunset, there are many amazing spots you can choose from. There's Yavapai Point, there's Yucky Point, there's Hoppy Point.
Hopi.
Hoppy Point. Okay.
Hoppy.
Yucky and Hoppy.
Yucky?
Yucky and
Yucky?
Hoppy.
It's yucky.
Future sunset position. There are many amazing spots.
Exhibits. Of course, they have bears. They have, I was going to go lions and tigers and bears.
Oh my.